body that you need to just kind of forget about right now. Maybe you're paying too much attention to those places. And then start to be less aware of your external environment and begin to take your attention further inward, allowing yourself to connect with the breath. Taking a few moments to appreciate the ease of the breath today. And then start to mindfully shift the breath into the lowest part of your belly. We'll shift into a 3-part breath here today. So I invite you to imagine your inhale traveling up the back body and your exhale traveling out the front body. So the next time you inhale, think about your back lower rib cage expanding, the mid back, and then the upper back. And then as you exhale and release the breath from the front body, let it out through the chest, the middle part of your rib cage, and the lowest part of your belly. So I always think it's a good visualization to kind of think about those different areas as you begin to breathe into those places. And just at your own pace. Inhale, lower rib cage, middle rib cage, upper back. Exhale out the front chest, middle rib cage, low belly. We'll just continue that for 5 or 6 more breath cycles at your own pace. Just doing your best to keep your focus on your breath, maybe continuing for 2 or 3 more breath cycles in that way. And then as you continue to breathe, go ahead and take a little bit of time to create an intention or a dedication for your practice today. Then after you have set that intention or dedication, when you're ready, start to make your way into hands and knees. Maybe do this with your eyes still closed. Tucking the toes under here today, coming into that tabletop position. Begin to cycle through cat and cow or any other spine warming poses. So if it feels good and you want to move into cobra or extended child, you can do that. Maybe adding some shifts through the hips from side to side, starting to open into the side bodies. And start to cultivate that ujjayi breath, so creating that slight constriction in the back of the throat, creating sort of that whirling sensation with the breath, a little bit more of an audible breath sound. And start to notice how your spine feels as you begin to invite movement in it. Mindfully paying attention to areas where you're holding tension, where you don't need it. So face, jaw, tops of the shoulders, maybe even into the low back or the hips. And take a few more cycles at any of these, with any of these spine warming postures. And then we'll come back into tabletop when you feel ready. Take the tops of the feet flat. On an inhale, send the left toes back and the right arm forward. Cross body balance. Perfectly fine this first time to just keep your toes on the floor. Sending energy out through the left heel, navel towards the spine. Top of the head forward, really focusing in here on a straight line from the crown of your head down to your tailbone. See what you feel in this position. And then on your exhale, come back to tabletop, switch sides. Inhale the right toes back, and the left hand floats, navel to the spine, appreciating alignment. Softening at the top of the left shoulder. Modifying arm position if you need to today. Continuing to breathe. And then exhale, release. Switch sides. Left leg goes back, right arm forward. We'll keep those left toes on the mat for now. Pausing and breathing. Go ahead and set your right hand down. Rotate over to your right hand and knee. Inhale your left arm up for modified half moon. So we'll pause just for a few breaths here. Think about inhaling the left fingertips up towards the ceiling and grounding through the outer edge of your left foot. And then pay special attention to your bottom arm. So softening at the elbow joint, really your alignment of your shoulder over your elbow, over your wrist and hand. Good, pausing and breathing. And then as you exhale, release, come back to tabletop. Nice neutral spine. Shrug the shoulders down away from the ears. Inhale your right toes back. Your left arm floats forward. Turn the palm up if that's available to you today. Pausing and breathing, navel to the spine. On an exhale, left hand down. Come over to your left hand and knee. Float the right arm up. Gaze can be up towards the ceiling or down towards the floor. Soft left elbow. Grounding through the outer edge of your right foot. Letting go of tension where you don't need it today. Adding any extra movements that might feel good for your body. On an exhale, release, come back to tabletop. Cat and cow a couple of times at your own pace. And then once you've cycled through cat and cow, come back to tabletop. And then walk your hands down, walk down to your forearms actually. So we're gonna come into Dolphin Pose today. So we'll come down to our forearms, we'll tuck our toes under and lift the sit bones up and back. I'm just kind of feeling what you feel in this first inversion pose. Relaxing through the neck. Noticing the length in the spine and the legs, adding any movement that might feel good for you. On an inhale, shift the shoulders over the elbows for forearm planks. Set your knees down if you'd like. Pause and breathe. Notice the activation around the spine. And then exhale, Dolphin Pose. Stepping the feet in slightly, creating that triangle shape as best you can through the body. Sit bones lifting up and back, heels melt towards the earth. Inhale, shoulders over the elbows, plank. Forearm plank, and pause and breathe. Press into that middle part of your back, activating around the shoulder blades. Navel to the spine. Exhale, Dolphin Pose. And then release, Child's Pose. Forehead to the mat. Tuck your arms back at your sides here. And then maybe keep your hips a little bit more lifted as you would for Puppy Pose. And just kind of appreciating a couple of breaths in and out. When you feel ready, we're going to make our way into downward facing dog. If that does not feel available to you today, feel free to take any other poses of your choice. So remember, this is your practice. So if something that I suggest is not in the cards for you today, feel free to modify. So creating some space between your hands and your feet. Remember to check your spacing. From down or in down dog, you can come into plank momentarily, and then exhale to down dog. You shouldn't need to adjust your hands and feet. So that's always a nice way to set things up. Sending your sit bones up and back, softening the back of the neck. If you find yourself gazing back at your knees, see if you can lift your gaze slightly so it's more towards the top third of your mat. When you're ready, bringing your feet back in so they're about hips distance apart, go ahead and step your right foot all the way through and come up into high lunge or crescent lunge. And you can walk your hands up that front leg. Let's go ahead and send the palms forward. So we'll round out through the middle part of the back. Be up on the ball of your back foot, but if that doesn't work for you, you can always set your heel down. And then drop your chin to your chest, so you're stretching out into that middle part of your back. Good, and then inhale, sweep the arms up as it's available to you. Lift your gaze slightly and think about pressing the front of your left hip forward. Good, as you exhale, release your hands, this time interlace them on top of the sacrum. Draw down and back, lift your chin up, pull the shoulder blades together, opening up through the heart. Relax your face. Good. Go ahead and release your hands. Step that back foot in about a foot or so. Set up for pyramid pose. On an inhale, I invite you to bring your arms out to a T shape. Both knees are straight but soft. On an exhale, you're going to hinge forward, leading with your chest. And then come into a forward bend over that front leg. Feeling some openness into the hamstrings now. So stretching out the front of the hip, stretching out the back of the leg and the thigh here now. Continuing to breathe where you feel restricted. Good, on an inhale, lift up halfway, bring your arms out back to that T shape, shoulder blades draw in and down, feels the activation in the mid part of your back. And then as you exhale, pyramid pose, soften the back body. Good, inhale, lift all the way up, taking your time, raise those arms up over your head, pause here. And then as you exhale, take your hands all the way down to frame your foot, and then just step both feet back, downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet, float the heels, whatever feels good for you here. And then when you feel ready, bringing your feet back in so they're hips distance apart, looking forward towards your hands. Take a big step through with the left foot this time. Rise up to high lunge. Walk or sweep your arms up. This time we'll take the arms up over the head. Soft tops of the shoulders, but reach through the fingertips. Once again, think about pressing the front of your right hip forward. So you should be appreciating some openness in the front of that right hip. Pausing and breathing. And then as you exhale, go ahead and pull your elbows towards the sides of your trunk. So still pressing the front of that right hip forward. Lift your chin up as you open the heart a little bit further. And then as you inhale, reach up for the sky. As you exhale, release your hands down. Go ahead and step that back foot in, just like you did on side one. Hands come out to that, arms come out to that T-shaped, palms to the ground. Deep breath in, think about lengthening your spine. And then as you exhale, hinge at your hip crease, exploring pyramid pose, second side. Just kind of see how the back of the thighs feel. See if you can relax the back of the neck. Breathing into the back of the thigh. Good. On an inhale, lift up halfway to that T position with the arms flat back. Shoulder blades draw in and down. As you exhale, pyramid pose. As you inhale, lift up halfway again, flat back. And then as you exhale, step your back foot forward and come into a generous forward fold at the top of your mat. Bending your knees, grabbing opposite elbows, or just kind of softening across the low back, relaxing the back of your neck. You can play with kind of shifting your weight from toes to heels or also side to side if that feels good. And then this time, bend your knees a little bit more. Let your hips sink down and then lift your arms up to chest height, chair pose. So slight tailbone tuck. Just come into it slowly. Shifting your weight back towards your heels, tucking the tailbone under. Notice the activation in the thighs. As you exhale, come into mountain pose. Notice how you feel in standing. Maybe pedal out the feet if you need to. Have the feet about a fist distance apart. You're towards the top of your mat. On an inhale, raise your arms up. Take a steeple grip over your head. So interlacing your last three fingers. Reaching through your pointer finger and your thumb, take a tip to the right. So standing side body stretch. Come back to center, breathe in. As you exhale, tip to the left. Good, come back to center. Lengthen up, take a little back bend as it's available to you. And then as you exhale, release your arms to your sides, mountain pose. Half sun salutation. Inhale, sweeping the arms up, little back bend. Exhale, lead with your heart, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, press into the feet, come all the way up, look up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, press into the feet, come all the way up, look up. Exhale, hands to heart. Toe heel your feet to touch. Inhale to chair. Hands can be at heart center, shoulder, or above shoulder height. Exhale, wide arm twist to the right. So you're going to open your chest to the right wall, spread your fingers nice and wide. Try to keep your knees in a line. Good. Exhale, chair. Breathe in, sink a little bit lower if it's available to you. Exhale, wide arm twist to the left. Knees in a line, chest is lifted, belly is in. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, plant your hands. Step your right leg back, warrior one. Breathe. Exhale, step forward, chair. Pause and breathe. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, step your left foot back, warrior one. So hips are squared to the front here. Doing a little bit more hip opening today. Breathing, softening the tops of the shoulders. Modify your arm position if you need to. Step it forward, chair pose, top of your mat. Good, tail tucks, belly is in. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, this time plant your hands, step it all the way back to plank pose. And pause. Breathe in. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, any back bend, baby cobra, cobra, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale your right leg high this time, three-legged dog. And spend a little bit of time here. So if you want to kind of do some big hip circles or kind of rotate that hip open, drop your heel towards the opposite buttock, reach through your foot, whatever feels good for you. Take a little bit of time. And then when you feel ready, step it forward, come back to warrior one. Pause and breathe. Exhale, warrior three. Send your arms back at your sides. So you'll shift onto your front leg. Airplane your arms. Left toes point towards the floor. If it's available to you, continuing to breathe. As you exhale, twist to the right. So revolved half moon. You can place your left fingertips on the floor or your leg, but you're opening your chest to the right. Good. Pause and breathe. Release is warrior two. Soft tops the shoulders, turn your palms up. Good, open that chest and shoulders, lengthen through the collarbones, tailbone tucks. Good, palms face the floor, reaching through the fingertips. Windmill your hands down to the mat, find plank. Breathe in. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Ground through your hands and feet here. So spread your hands nice and wide, keeping the palms connected to the mat. On an inhale, send your left leg high, three-legged dog. Just like you did on side one, find some movement in that hip. And then when you feel ready, step that foot all the way through, Virabhadrasana 1, rise. Knee over the ankle on the front leg. Pause and breathe, soft tops of the shoulders, lift your gaze slightly. Exhale, warrior three. Perfectly fine to leave that back toe down if you need a little bit of extra stability. Send the arms back, pull the shoulder blades together. If you are able to lift that right foot up, flex it, toes towards the floor. Good. For an additional challenge, right hand to the floor or your shin on the left leg. Rotate and open to the left, revolved half moon. Good. When you're ready, release is warrior two. Gaze over that front hand, check your alignment. Good, inhale the palms up. Tail tucks under. Exhale the palms down. Breathe in. Exhale, hands to the mat. Plank. Breathe in, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here in down dog. When you're ready, looking forward, walk, step, or hop to the top of your mat. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose, Utkatasana. Exhale, mountain pose. Good, inhale, chair. Pausing here. If it's available to you today, reach your fingertips for the floor. So sinking your hips a little bit lower. And then bring hands back to heart center or sweep them up. Good, try lifting your toes up. So still grounding down through all four corners of each foot. Keeping that weight back towards the heels. Notice the activation in the thighs. As you exhale, release the toes, forward fold. Inhale, lift up partway. Exhale, plant your hands, step it back to plank pose, move through a vinyasa, or press it back to down dog or child's pose here. And then either maintaining your breath in child's pose or downward facing dog. Take a cleansing breath. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. And then if you took child's pose, come back to downward facing dog. Look forward towards your hands, step your feet all the way through, and then take a seat in the middle part of your mat. Come into boat pose. So any variation of boat is perfectly fine. So lower legs can be parallel to the floor. You can try straightening your knees, lifting your arms up, whatever works for you. You can also keep your legs down as long as you're kind of reclining through the trunk without sagging your low back. You can also alternate lifting one leg at a time without collapsing through the low back. Good, as you exhale, release your hands and feet, take your legs out wide to a straddle. And then walk your hands a little bit more forward until you feel a stretch through the inner thigh and the back of the thighs. And then walk your hands over to your right leg. Starting to open into the left side of the trunk. And then walk your hands back through the center, pausing here in that whatever degree of forward bend works for you. You don't have to force anything here today. And then we'll slowly walk our hands over to the left side. And then walking your hands back through the center one more time, forward bend, allowing your trunk to round. And then we'll walk the hands all the way back in. Take our hands to the sides and step both feet in. One more round of boat. So we'll inhale the palms to float up. And then reclining shoulders behind the pelvis. One or both legs lift. Chest stays lifted. Continue lifting through your heart as you hold. Notice the activation in your low belly. Relax your face and jaw. And then as you you exhale, slowly set your hands down. Keep your legs lifted if it's available. Good, set one leg down and the other leg down. Keep your shoulders behind the pelvis. And then inhale, sit up nice and tall. Give your abdominals a break. When you feel ready, I want you to slowly lower all the way down to your back. Once you're on your back, take your arms out to either goalpost arms or a T shape. And take your feet a little bit more than hips distance apart. And I want you to just begin to rock the knees from side to side. And this can be as big or as small as feels good for your body here. For more rotation, you can turn your head opposite your knees, but try to keep your shoulder blades on the mat. And just start to slow down your breath a little bit here. Good, and slowly bring the knees back into the center. Go ahead and step the feet in so they're hips distance apart. We'll take reclining pigeon. So we can start with the left side, left crosses over right. Just allow that left knee to relax out to the side. If it's available, draw the legs in, grab behind the right thigh. And just spend a little bit of time here, breathing into the left hip. Adding a little bit of movement maybe in the ankles. And then uncrossing your legs, switch sides, right crosses over left. Legs draw in if it works for you. Begin to slow down your breathing here, deepening your breath once again, shifting it back to the low belly. So we're preparing for our final relaxation here. Once you've finished reclining pigeon on this side, you can slowly come out of it and then just take a few moments to take any other poses that might feel good for you today that you'd like to use before we close out in Shavasana. So maybe a happy baby or an inversion of your choice. When you've finished those poses, you can make your way into Shavasana, corpse pose. If it's not comfortable on your back, feel free to roll to either side. Open your heart by walking the shoulder blades underneath you. Either place one or both hands over your belly or let your arms relax down at your sides. Take a cleansing breath. Inhaling through the nose. Big, heavy sigh through the mouth. Allowing your eyes to close or lowering your gaze. Allowing yourself a few moments of peace and stillness here in Shavasana. Pausing the body and mind. Enjoying the quiet. Noticing your breath and then doing your best to release all